Aurealis 9 was one of the most beautiful planets humans had ever discovered. Its sky glowed with soft lavender light, and its forests were made of tall crystal trees that caught the sunlight and scattered it like tiny floating stars. The air was full of shining spores that drifted slowly, moving as if they were dancing. These spores were harmless to the native people, the Aurealians, but humans needed protective suits, because the spores made them cough and feel dizzy. Taryn, a quiet and gentle human engineer, walked through the crystal forest with slow steps. His protective suit hummed softly as it filtered the air for him. He always admired how peaceful the planet felt, even though he could only see it through the suit's visor. Every day he wished he could breathe the air directly, feel the forest wind on his skin, and understand the world the same way the Aurealians did. Taryn had been sent by the Human Exploration Council to study the planet's energy crystals. These crystals were special, unlike anything found on Earth. They could hold energy, release it slowly, and even react to emotions around them. Taryn wanted to learn how they worked, and maybe use them to improve human technology. But not everyone trusted the humans on the planet. Some Aurealians believed humans kept too many secrets. Aurealians valued complete openness, emotion, thoughts, intentions. Their culture believed that light and transparency were the foundation of peace. So when humans came wearing head-to-toe suits, hiding their faces and expressions, it made some Aurealians uneasy. And one of those uneasy Aurealians was Sephra. Sephra was a young researcher with bright teal eyes and soft, crystalline lines glowing across her skin. She was known for her passion, especially her passion for protecting her people's land and traditions. She was also known for her temper, quick to spark, quick to cool, but strong enough to leave an impression on everyone around her. Sephra had crossed paths with Taryn many times in the research fields, and she found him polite but distant. He always thanked her for help, but he never opened up much. She thought he avoided real conversation. She thought he hid too much behind that suit. And even though she tried to understand humans, something about Taryn's quietness bothered her. One morning, Sephra was checking the readings of a large crystal node, an important natural structure that helped control the energy flow deep under the forests. This particular node kept the spores balanced in the air. Any disruption could cause storms of glowing dust across the planet. When Sephra reached the node, her eyes widened. A small device had been placed next to it. It looked human-made. Her heart jumped in her chest. "Why would a human leave a device here?" she whispered to herself. Her thoughts raced. She knew humans used devices for studying, but placing something so close to a main energy node without permission was dangerous. She immediately assumed Taryn was involved. He was the only human who worked near this area, and after weeks of seeing him quietly working alone, she began to believe he might be hiding more than anyone realized. Instead of calling the council, she walked straight toward the field where she knew Taryn would be working. Her emotions burned hot, confusion, frustration, and a sting of betrayal. She remembered how her elders warned her that humans often use tools before asking for permission. The thought pushed her anger forward. Taryn was bending over a small scanning pad when he heard quick footsteps behind him. He looked up, surprised, to see Sephra storming through the crystal path. "Taryn," she said sharply, "I need to talk to you." Her tone made him straighten quickly. "Is something wrong?" "You know exactly what is wrong." Her voice cut through the air like cold glass. Taryn felt his stomach tighten. He had no idea what she meant, but he could see the bright shift of light along her skin, a sign of strong emotions in Aurealians. "What happened?" he asked gently. "You placed a device near a major crystal node," she snapped. "Do you know how dangerous that is? You could unbalance the whole forest." Taryn blinked behind his visor. "I didn't place anything near the main node. I was working here the whole morning." "That is a lie," she said quickly, not because she was certain, but because her emotions were louder than her logic. "It's not a lie," he said softly. "I promise. I'm only studying small shards here." But Sifra wasn't listening. Her frustration mixed with fear and disappointment. She felt like he was hiding something again. Like every time she tried to speak with him, he kept his distance, kept secrets behind that suit. "Why do you always hide?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Why can't you show us anything? Your suit covers everything, your face, your thoughts, your reactions. How can we trust you when you hide every part of yourself?" Taran lowered his head, not knowing how to respond. He had reasons. Reasons she didn't understand. Reasons he didn't know how to explain. Sifra stepped closer. "If you're not doing anything wrong, then show me. Let me see what you're hiding." Taran backed up a step. "Sifra, please, don't—" But she had already reached forward. In one swift moment fueled by pure frustration, Sifra grabbed the sleeve of his protective suit and pulled. The fabric tore with a sharp rip, the sound echoing unnaturally through the quiet forest. Taran froze. Sifra froze too. She expected to see human skin. She expected to see a hidden device strapped to his arm. She expected a sign of sabotage. She did not expect what she actually saw. Underneath the torn suit, Taran's skin was glowing. Not bright like Aurealian light, but soft, pulsing, and alive. Patterns of warm colors rippled across his arm, gold, rose, and pale blue, shifting gently, like waves reacting to some unseen tide. It looked almost like emotion made visible. Sifra stared with wide eyes. Her anger vanished instantly, replaced with shock, confusion, and a quiet understanding she didn't yet have words for. Taran gently pulled his arm closer to himself, covering it with his other hand. His voice trembled slightly, not from fear of her, but from embarrassment. It's not what you think," he said quietly. "It's a reaction. Humans react to your planet this way. The spores affect us differently." Sifra didn't speak. She couldn't. Taran swallowed hard, trying to explain. "Our skin glows when we feel strong emotions here. Stress, surprise, fear. The crystals in the air interact with us. Humans don't like others seeing it. It feels too personal, like showing someone your entire heart without meaning to." Sifra looked at him as if she was seeing him for the first time. Not a distant human, not a quiet stranger, but someone vulnerable, someone who had been struggling silently. She opened her mouth, but no words came. The forest around them sparkled with floating light, but for a long moment, neither of them moved. Sifra finally whispered, "I didn't know." Taran nodded slowly. "I know. I shouldn't have done that." Her voice was softer than he had ever heard it. "I understand," he said. "You were scared." Sifra shook her head gently. "No, I was wrong." And in that moment, everything between them began to change. For a long moment after Sifra tore Taran's sleeve, neither of them spoke. The quiet forest surrounded them with soft, glowing spores drifting slowly in the air. The light patterns from the spores mixed with the soft glow coming from Taran's exposed arm. Sifra stared at it as if she was looking at something impossible, something no one ever told her could exist. The glow wasn't bright or frightening, it was gentle and alive. Soft waves of color moved under his skin, almost like they followed his breathing. Gold flickered whenever he inhaled, and a faint blush of rose spread whenever he exhaled. She had never seen anything like this. It felt personal, delicate, and strangely beautiful. Taran carefully covered his glowing arm with his other hand. His shoulders lowered as if he expected her to back away or judge him. His voice was small when he finally spoke. "This is why humans wear the suits," he said. "Not because we want to hide secrets, but because we don't want to expose our emotions to everyone." Sifra heard the slight fear in his tone. It wasn't fear of her. It was fear of being seen. Truly seen. Her earlier anger melted into guilt. She had acted without thinking, moved by frustration instead of understanding. "Taryn, I am sorry." Sifra's voice was soft, fragile even. "I thought you were hiding technology. I thought you were doing something dangerous near the node." "I wasn't," Taryn said. "I would never touch the node without permission. Humans are already guests here. I know how important the crystals are to your world." Sifra looked at the faintly glowing tear in his sleeve again. "I didn't know humans reacted this way to our spores." "Most humans don't," Taryn explained slowly. "Only a few of us do. Our bodies are more sensitive to the crystal particles in the air. When the spores touch our skin, they connect with our nerves. They reflect our emotions back through light." Sifra listened closely. Every word he said made her understand how deeply she had misjudged him. "It must be difficult," she said softly. "Walking around knowing your feelings could glow through your skin at any moment." Taryn let out a small laugh, tired but gentle. "Yes, it makes things complicated, especially for humans. We prefer privacy. We like choosing what we show." Sifra nodded slowly. "For Orialians, it is the opposite. We believe in openness. We think hiding feelings causes misunderstandings." Taryn glanced down. "I know. That is why I tried to stay out of the way. I worried that showing too much would confuse everyone." Sifra took a small step closer, her expression calm now. "May I look?" she asked quietly. "Only if you are comfortable." Taryn hesitated, but after a moment he lowered his other arm, revealing the soft, glowing patterns again. Sifra leaned forward gently, careful not to touch him. The glow reflected in her teal eyes. "It responds to emotions," she said, more to herself than to him. "So the colors shift based on what you feel?" "Yes," Taryn said. "When I'm calm, it stays soft. When I'm nervous or scared." He paused, watching the quick pulse of blue flicker across his skin. "It shows. I can't control it." Sifra exhaled slowly. "You must have been very nervous when I tore the suit." Taryn nodded. "Yes, but not because of danger. I just didn't want you to think I was hiding something harmful." Her gaze softened, and guilt squeezed gently at her chest. "I shouldn't have acted the way I did," she said. "I thought you placed that device near the node, but I see now. I jumped to conclusions." "It's okay," Taryn replied. "You were trying to protect your world." Sifra took another breath. "Still, I hurt your suit, and your trust." Taryn looked at her, then gave a small smile she couldn't quite see fully through his half-damaged visor. "Trust can be rebuilt." Those words surprised her. They were simple, but filled with a quiet strength she didn't expect from him. For the first time, Sifra felt a strange warmth in her chest. It wasn't fear, or anger, or duty. It was something softer, curiosity mixed with admiration. This human who she had judged so quickly was more open and vulnerable than she ever imagined. She looked back at his torn sleeve. "We need to fix this," she said. "Your suit won't protect you properly now. Come with me to the research station. I can repair it." Taryn shook his head gently. "Let me try something first. I brought a patch kit." He moved to open a small bag he carried, but Sifra's hand rose slightly to stop him. "No," she said. "Let me help. You have worn this suit alone for too long. You shouldn't have to fix it alone, too." Taryn was quiet for a moment, then nodded. They walked together through the crystal forest, the glowing spores swirling softly around them. Sifra watched Taryn closely as they walked. Every time he felt unsure, his arm glowed a faint shade of blue. When he was more relaxed, the colors warmed again. Their steps were slow but comfortable. For the first time since humans arrived, Sifra felt like she was truly seeing one of them, not through barriers, not through caution, but through honest understanding. When they reached the research station, Sifra guided him to a small working room filled with Orialian tools. The walls were lined with shelves of crystal instruments that hummed softly with stored energy. Taryn looked around with interest. "Your tools. They use the crystals directly?" "Yes," Sifra said. "Crystals respond to intention. They shape energy based on how we guide them." She activated a thin crystal filament that glowed bright white. "This can repair your suit without damaging the material. Hold your arm steady." Taryn extended his arm. As Sifra worked, she noticed the colors beneath his skin shifting again. A soft orange hue appeared the moment her fingers came close. "What does orange mean?" she asked softly. Taryn hesitated. "Curiosity, sometimes comfort." Sifra's motions slowed just slightly. "Comfort? Because of me?" He didn't answer at first. Then he nodded once. The moment felt delicate, but not overwhelming. Sifra continued repairing the suit, careful and gentle. The more she worked, the more she realized Taryn wasn't just a visitor to her world. He was someone trying very hard to understand it, even while hiding behind layers of fabric. When the repair was complete, the sleeve looked almost new. Only a faint line showed where the tear had been. "Thank you," Taryn said. "You're welcome," Sifra replied. "And about the device near the node, I need to check again. If it wasn't yours, then someone else placed it." Taryn nodded. "We can go together." "You want to help?" Sifra asked. "Of course," Taryn said. "I want to understand your world, and I want you to feel safe with me here." She didn't expect those words. They warmed her more than she admitted. Together they walked back to the crystal forest, this time not as strangers or opponents, but as two researchers searching for truth. When they reached the node, Sifra knelt beside the small device again. Taryn studied it closely. "This isn't human tech," he said after a moment. "We don't use crystal-based casings like this." Sifra stared. "Then, who placed it here?" Taryn looked around the forest. "Maybe someone trying to stir misunderstanding between us." Sifra felt a chill, not from fear, but from the realization of how easily distrust could grow. She looked at Taryn again. The soft glow beneath his skin calmed her. It reminded her that honesty could be visible if she allowed herself to see it. "We will solve this together," Sifra said. Taryn nodded. "Together." At that moment, something new began forming between them. Not just trust, but a connection stronger than either expected. The next morning on Orialis 9 began with a gentle glow rising between the crystal trees. The whole forest shined with soft colors as the sun touched each crystal branch. The spores moved slowly in the golden light, drifting like tiny lanterns across the air. It was peaceful, so peaceful that it made Sifra wonder how anyone could ever harm this place. Taryn walked beside her, his steps soft on the crystal path. They were heading back to the main research center to report the strange device near the energy node. The planet was calm, but both of them felt a quiet tension. Something wasn't right. Someone had placed that device there, and neither of them knew why. But there was also something new between them, something warm, quiet, and slowly growing. It showed in the way Taryn no longer walked behind her or away from her. It showed in the way Sifra didn't hesitate to match her pace with his, and it showed in the soft, warm glow beneath his skin whenever she spoke to him. As they reached the center, Yalara, the elder researcher, stepped forward. Her tall crystal crown shimmered with concern. "You both came early," she said. "Is something wrong?" Sifra glanced at Taryn, then back to Yalara. "We found a device near the main node. It is not human technology, and it is not Orialian either." Yalara's eyes widened. "Show me." Sifra led her to the crystal table where she had placed the device the night before. It was small, transparent, and shaped like a tiny prism. Inside it, energy moved in slow swirling patterns. Taryn touched the surface lightly. See these patterns? They respond to emotional pressure. Not physical pressure. That is strange, Yalara murmured. Our people use emotional resonance, but this does not look like our design. Taryn nodded. It feels like someone wanted this to be found, maybe to cause confusion. Sifra felt a twist in her chest. A misunderstanding between our people could cause distrust, maybe even end future cooperation. Taryn looked at her, his glow softening. That's why we should solve it before it grows. Yalara watched the two of them closely. She was old and wise, and she noticed details younger researchers often missed, the way Sifra's eyes softened when she looked at Taryn, the way Taryn's glow shifted warmer when Sifra spoke. She said nothing, but a faint smile touched her lips. You two will investigate this together, Yalara said calmly. Trust each other. Learn from each other. And protect the bond forming between your worlds. Sifra blinked. Bond? Yalara simply turned away with a knowing smile. You will understand soon. A new search begins. Sifra and Taryn spent the rest of the morning exploring the deeper parts of the crystal forest where the energy lines were strongest. It was an area few Orialians entered, because the crystals reacted strongly to emotion. Sifra knew that if someone had hidden a device, they might have done it here, where it was easy to confuse readings. As they walked, Taryn admired the world around him. Your forests feel alive, he said quietly. The crystals almost breathe. They do, Sifra replied. They hold memories of the planet. They change color when certain emotions flow through them. Taryn looked around with amazement. I wish humans could sense energy the way you do. Sifra smiled. You do sense it, just differently. Your glow shows it. You respond to the spores and crystals emotionally. Taryn rubbed the arm where his skin had glowed the brightest yesterday. I always thought it was a weakness. Sifra stopped walking and looked directly at him. It is not a weakness, she said firmly. It is a gift. It lets me understand you in a way no words could. Taryn stared at her, surprised and touched. A faint, warm gold shimmered under his cheek, like sunlight through water. Sifra noticed it and smiled softly. They continued deeper into the forest until they reached a wide clearing filled with towering pillars of crystal. The air shimmered with strong energy. As soon as they stepped inside, the colors on the crystals shifted around them. Taryn paused. It feels stronger here. That means someone was here recently, Sifra said. Crystals hold emotional marks for many hours. Taryn knelt beside one of the pillars and touched it gently. Immediately, a faint wave of violet light flowed upward. He looked up. It reacted faster than the others. That means someone touched it while feeling strong emotions, Sifra explained. Strong emotions like fear? Anger? Taryn asked. Possibly, she said. Without warning, one of the crystals near Taryn flickered again. Sifra stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. Taryn, she said softly, touch the crystal again. He did, and the crystal responded with a bright, warm glow, gold and pink. Sifra covered her mouth lightly. It reacted to your emotional trace. Taryn frowned. Meaning? Sifra turned slowly toward him. Meaning someone came here thinking about you. Taryn stiffened. About me? Yes, she said. And the reaction shows mixed emotions, curiosity, confusion, maybe jealousy. Taryn blinked. Jealousy? Why would someone be jealous of me? Sifra gave a small smile, a bit shy. Because you are unusual. And some Orialians are not comfortable when a human becomes close to someone from their people. Taryn looked at her for a long moment. Close to someone? Sifra felt her face warm, though her skin didn't glow the way Taryn's did. Orialians showed their feelings in their eyes, in small shifts of tone. Yes, she said gently. Close. Neither spoke for a moment. The air between them felt warm and full of quiet understanding. A breakthrough in learning. They returned to the research center just after noon. Sifra began examining the strange device while Taryn studied the readings from the crystal pillars. As they worked side by side, their movements slowly synced. When Sifra leaned forward, Taryn shifted slightly to give her space. When Taryn reached for a tool, Sifra handed him the right one without asking. Their partnership felt natural, smooth, and effortless. After an hour of silence, Taryn spoke softly. Sifra, thank you for helping me understand your world more. Sifra looked up. You helped me understand yours too. He continued. I used to think humans were too different to ever blend with other species, but working with you feels right. Sifra's heart warmed. I feel the same. As if reacting to their words, the crystals in the room brightened a little. Taryn stared. Is that normal? Sifra laughed softly. They respond to harmony. When two people work well together, the crystals show it. And if two people feel something deeper? He asked quietly. Sifra's breath caught. Then the crystals shine even brighter. Between them, the light pulsed softly. The suit breakthrough. Later that evening, Taryn sat with one of the smaller crystals, studying its energy lines. He frowned. I think this crystal could help humans breathe your air more easily, he said. Sifra looked surprised. How? Taryn explained. If we place it into the air regulation part of the suit, it might filter the spores naturally instead of mechanically. It means the suit could be lighter and more open. Sifra's eyes widened. Humans could move more freely and feel the planet more, Taryn added, while still staying safe. They worked on the idea together. Hours passed without them noticing. The stars outside changed colors as the night shifted, but neither felt tired. By the time the prototype was complete, it was nearly dawn. Sifra held the new suit piece in her hands. It is beautiful, she whispered. Taryn looked at her, not at the suit. It was made with your help. That's why. Sifra's heart warmed again. Tomorrow, she said, you will test it. Taryn nodded. And tomorrow, we'll learn even more together. A new connection. They walked out into the early morning light. The sky was glowing silver. The crystal trees shimmered in the gentle dawn. Sifra stopped walking and looked at him. Taryn, she said softly, your glow is warm today. Taryn glanced at his arm and smiled. It happens when I feel comfortable. With me? She asked carefully. He nodded. Yes. With you. Sifra felt something shift inside her, something gentle, something real. Taryn, she said, I think we are becoming more than partners. His glow brightened slightly. I think so too. They stood there, surrounded by soft light, two people from different worlds forming a connection strong enough to change both of their futures. And neither of them knew it yet. But this bond would soon lead to an event that would unite their worlds forever. The days after the Great Discovery were calm, but filled with a new kind of tension. Saren stayed on the human research station, and everyone treated him with extra respect now. Many scientists walked softly around him, as if he was a rare artifact instead of a living being. But Saren did not complain. He understood that humans were only reacting to the truth that had shocked them deeply. Ilara, however, was not calm. She tried to work every day, but her thoughts were always about Saren. She had seen the markings under his suit, the shimmering patterns that proved he carried ancient human DNA mixed with something else. She remembered the way he looked at her after she tore the suit, sad, confused, and almost afraid of how she would judge him. Now she wanted to understand everything. So she asked Saren to meet her in the greenhouse room. A place filled with soft light and growing plants. It was one of the few places on the station that felt warm and alive. When Saren arrived, he stood quietly by the door. "Elara," he said softly. "You called me?" She nodded. "I did. I want to talk. And I want to talk without fear." Saren stepped closer. His new suit was thinner, lighter, and more flexible, but he still kept the symbols on his skin hidden. Not because he was scared of her, but because he was scared of the world. "Elara," he said slowly, choosing every word. "Ever since you saw what I truly am, you have looked different. Not bad different, but thoughtful." She smiled a little. "I am thoughtful, because you changed everything." He tilted his head. "How?" Elara sat on a small bench in the greenhouse and gestured for him to sit. Saren obeyed, but carefully. His movements were always calm and elegant now, as if he was trying to show her he meant no harm. "Saren," she began, "you said your people were shaped by humans long ago. That humans visited your world, experimented ethically, taught, shared knowledge, and then left." "Yes," Saren answered. "Your ancestors reshaped our path. They improved our health, our knowledge, and our connection to light energy. But they also left us with a deep question. Were we meant to be like this? Or were we changed too much?" Elara looked into his golden eyes. "From what I saw, you were not changed in a harmful way. You were gifted life. You were gifted potential." Saren lowered his eyes. "But some humans here think we are a mistake. I heard them whisper." Elara felt her heart squeeze. She knew he was right. Some scientists argued that discovering a close genetic relative to humanity would cause political confusion, scientific debates, and ethical arguments. A few even said the information might be too dangerous to release. But she believed something else. "Saren," she said softly, "you are not a mistake. You are a success. A living example that humans can help another species grow without harming them. You are the proof that kindness works." Saren swallowed slowly. "Then why did the council want to send me away?" Elara hesitated. The station's council had suggested moving Saren to a remote research center to avoid public reaction. "It's not because they fear you," she explained gently. "It's because they fear what your existence means. Some worry that your people will accuse humans of meddling. Others fear humans will use this discovery for power. But I don't agree with them." Saren's voice trembled slightly. "And what do you want, Elara?" She stood. Her voice was clear, firm, and full of something new, hope. "I want peace. I want cooperation. I want your people and mine to meet again without secrets or fear." Saren slowly nodded. "Then we must take a step together." That evening, the council gathered in the main hall. The room was bright and formal. Hollow screens glowed with data. Every member sat with serious faces, prepared to discuss Saren's future. Elara walked in with Saren beside her. Some council members stiffened. Others whispered. But no one stopped them. Counselor Merrick, an older man with calm eyes, spoke first. "Dr. Elara, we were not expecting a guest." Elara replied, "I believe Saren deserves to hear everything directly." Saren bowed respectfully. "I come with understanding, not challenge." Merrick nodded but remained cautious. "Very well, let us begin." A woman with sharp features opened a data file. "We have analyzed all genetic scans. The markings on Saren's skin respond to light energy. They transform solar radiation into biological stability. This is an advanced adaptation. Another scientist added, and the DNA shows a 70% match with ancient human records. This raises questions about responsibility and ownership. Saren flinched at the word ownership, but Ilara squeezed his arm gently. He relaxed. Then Ilara stood. If I may speak? Marek gestured for her to continue. Ilara stepped forward. She looked at each council member directly. Her voice was calm but strong. Saren is not a specimen. He is a person, and his people deserve the truth. We cannot hide this discovery or bury it in paperwork. We must face it with courage. One counselor frowned. Courage is not the issue. The galaxy may react with panic. Ilara leaned forward. Or with inspiration. Think about what this means. Humans once changed a world for the better. No war, no harm, no destruction. Only teaching, helping, and guiding. Saren's people are a living example that humans can bring hope, not conflict. Marek studied Saren quietly. And what do you ask from us, Saren? Saren stood. His voice was gentle but carried the weight of generations. I ask for connection. My people have waited centuries for the ones who taught us. We believed you were legends, but now I stand here, in your station, and I know the truth. You did not abandon us. You helped us grow. And now we wish to thank you, not accuse you. The room fell silent. Ilara felt her heart pound. This was the moment everything could change. Saren continued. Let us meet as friends. Let us share knowledge. Let us build something new, together. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Counselor Marek slowly nodded. Your words show wisdom, and your presence shows trust. I believe cooperation is the right path. Others nodded reluctantly, but eventually the entire council agreed. A new message flashed across the hollow table. Approved. Human-Lunari Diplomatic Exchange Project. Saren inhaled deeply, relief shining in his eyes. Ilara smiled. You did it. He shook his head softly. We did it. Weeks later, Ilara and Saren stood at the landing deck, looking out through the transparent windows as a Lunari starship approached. It was shaped like a floating crescent, glowing with soft blue light. Saren's hands trembled slightly. My people are coming. They will see humans with their own eyes for the first time in centuries. Ilara placed a hand on his arm. And they will see you standing beside us. Saren exhaled slowly. Yes, I think they will be proud. As the ship touched down, its doors opened. Gentle light spilled out, and tall figures with shimmering skin stepped forward. Lunari elders, diplomats, and scholars. They looked at the humans, then at Saren, then at Ilara, who stood confidently by his side. A Lunari elder stepped toward Saren. You have found them, she said softly. You have found our teachers. Saren bowed. And they are not as ancient or mysterious as we believed. They are simply people, but good people. Ilara smiled warmly. We are glad to meet you. The elder extended a glowing hand. Then let this be the beginning. And with that handshake, between two beings shaped by the same ancient kindness, a new era began. An era of unity, not fear. An era of learning, not hiding. An era where humans proved once again, humanity can uplift, inspire, and lead with hope. The story of Saren and Ilara became the first chapter of this new chapter in the galaxy's history. Proof that understanding could heal old mysteries and open doors to brighter futures. And so, the journey that began with anger, confusion, and a torn protective suit ended with peace, courage, and a connection that changed two worlds forever.